lost my chair. So first things, I don't need to draw the trees in. I will draw the little cabin. If you guys can see this okay, right? Now when my back's turned, it is not a time for you to play on your phone. That would be wrong. Some of your pictures are longer than the canvas, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. All I'm doing, I'm not drawing this really tight. I'm just looking where my colors are going to change. I'm not doing an exact drawing. So then here for my little, how big do I want my little building? It's not very big in my photo, but I might. Now, a lot of people had trouble drawing the shapes of the buildings. They didn't look right, and then they went to paint them like paint by numbers. So there's a little lean-to over here. Okay. And then I might put a little. See, I'm allowed to do this. I might put a little thing out here. Here. No, it looks better. I didn't like the picture there. So that's all I needed to do was lay out where I want my colors to go. And that's all I want you to draw, because this is painting. It's not about drawing. Now you will lay it out and do that. Now my palette looks like this. It's a hot mess, always is. I start with yellow and I put a little blue in. And I use Phthalo blue. So don't put your paints in the back of the room when you're done. You want to put them in your bin. They're yours to use. So I don't use green from the bottle. I hardly ever use green from the bottle. And I start with the lighter colors when I do this, so I'm going to a little more water, a little more green. And what the yellow underneath it's going to do is going to make, when I put green on top of it, it's going to make it stand out more. Make it really watery, and I can add color in. It's going to drip a little because I'm using an easel, but I'm going to try to get the easels down for everyone. If not tomorrow, I'll get it by Friday. Okay, so there's that. Laying down my color. Little bits of green. Like right about here. And they'll go up. Go up, 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 up. But that's not my final. It's just where I want my colors to go. Okay. Let's do the yellows first on the top. I need more yellow. So if you do use your paint out of a cup, make sure that your brush is clean. And start mixing a couple other colors with it. So here's my yellow area. Needs a little more water. Now, what I like to do with my trees is I will put the brighter colors down first, and I'll come back through and define them by using their shadows. So I'm putting my yellows down where I want them, but I'm going to define these by putting my darks in and showing the shapes of the trees. So I'm just putting these areas in. Let's see, a little pink, red, there. This tells me where my colors are going to go and how I want them to be. There's a little bit here. And I haven't really overwhelmed my painting with the colors yet. So let's see, I need some orange here. Now this gray blue for the trees, I can do that later. I don't have to do that right now. So I'm color blocking my painting. There we go. Let's see, my house is kind of like a gray blue. So what I'll do is I'll get my blue out and I'll say, I'm going to use my blue, and then I'll probably mix a little bit of the orange with it. The red and the yellow. And we'll paint it really light. This kind of makes it a little purpley, but my picture looks a little purpley. And now, the other thing about working on canvas that's really nice is if it dries, you can put a little bit of a lighter color over top of it. So I can do this with my shadows, and then I can come back and paint it a little lighter. Acrylic will work like that. It's not as easy, but it will work. It's kind of fun. I like it that way. And I'm not going to paint anything that's too light. I'm just going to kind of paint around it. Get my little... I've decided I want that in there. But water your paints down. The biggest thing I saw was people weren't watering their paints down when they started, and then they were getting frustrated. So, now I'm going to do the pinkish red. What are they listening to in there? Now, if you make a mistake on it and you say, I don't really like it, I did something wrong, which you probably didn't, but you can come back up here and go with a cloth, rub it right off. So when we do skies, that's what we do. With this sky, I just painted blue across. I took a rag and I wiped in my clouds almost as soon as I painted. It's very effective for clouds. I'm ready to start painting details. Oh, I got pink at the bottom. I lied. I'm not ready. So I'm kind of using the same colors throughout. Because I'm going to keep using those colors. I could put a little bit in here if I want, because it's kind of orangey. I want to start with my browns. I don't really want to go there yet. But to lay them in, I could kind of lay them in back here and get a little bit of a haze going. I got red in my brush, I can tell. But you can see that I got all these colors that are kind of showing up in it, and that's fine. But if you work thin, you can keep manipulating them on the canvas. That's different than paper. Like I can rub this in on my canvas and get those colors underneath and then paint darker over top. Especially when it comes to the trees. So I'll probably do the trees tomorrow for you. We'll get this a little bit more. But see how many like colors are in it? Really thin, lay everything out, and then go back in and start working details. Okay? Is that good enough? Do you guys get a better idea? Okay, I think what I saw when people were turning in their photos of their work was the acrylic was super heavy, people went straight for the green. I don't touch green, I don't care. That's a bright, vivid green, but if I painted that with the light green from the paint, from the tube, oh my gosh, it's going to look like fake. So you want to develop your colors mixing. Now I can use light green later if I really want to get this in, but I'm going to use it as detail work later in the paint. We good? A lot of people didn't do this one thing on here, which I want to make sure you do because it's really important. Where's it at? Okay. Acrylic do's and don'ts. 8 people in here did not turn it in. Did that mean you didn't read it? So it's a how to do things and how not to do things. So I wrote it out before I left. Always mix dark into light. So don't start with your dark color. Start with the lighter color and put dark in it, little bits at a time. Let's stop this because I don't need to keep it going.